After all this time, we finally get Hunter x Hunter. It's been about a year and a half since the last chapter. And I'm gonna have to say, I am so glad it's back. On the other hand, it's not like the bug arc. Ever since the 13th chairman election arc, the series has been pretty damn stagnant. And the closest action we got was the arc, centered around Killua's sister. That being said, with both Killua and Gon gone, there are very, very little, how do I put it? There's very little centered around protagonists. It's just a story with no real protagonists now. We're basically focusing on Gin, Kurapika, and Lirio, with Kurapika and Lirio over the short little time between the last two hiatuses, them joining the Zodiac 12, taking Partisan and Gin's positions. But now, they're finally getting prepared to go onto the Dark Continent, which is taking for fucking forever. Honestly, I was kind of hoping that at this point, we'd finally get to that point we've been waiting for. They teased it before the hiatus, before the most recent one. And then, only then, did we get a little exposition on it. But it easily shifted from exposition to just plain info dump. Not even info we really want to know. We just want to get to the friggin' continent. But rather than take us to the continent, they tell us a whole bunch of subplots on these princes that have basically come out of nowhere and were never mentioned before. And honestly, I'm not even going to try to remember exactly what the whole thing with them is. But what is apparent is that there are two plots that are really, really taking hold. The first plot is the former chairman Neo's son and his journey to the Dark Continent. And then there's the plot of this random king that was basically pulled out of God knows where, and his 14 princes fighting to the death under the guise of a peaceful excursion to the Dark Continent. So, yeah, those two plot points are a little weird. And the fact that they may or may not be interconnected is another thing that makes it a lot harder to see where this arc is going. But, on another point, it's not like we don't have any major villains. I mean, we have Beyond, first of all, but now we also have these princes. And this is mostly a recap and a manga review, so excuse me for dragging on a little bit. But these princes are basically, how do I put it, psychopaths and everything else, except for the little baby. Then again, it wouldn't be the first time a manga artist has made a baby a psychopath. Nonetheless, I kinda doubt that's gonna be the exact path they're going for. Mother? Maybe so. But either way, Kurapika, or at least starting this chapter, is going to be her bodyguard during the time that he's going to, look for his eyes. The eyes of his brethren. Which was always one of the major plot points that made his character seem so alive. And remember, while many people might, compare him to Naruto's Sasuke, if you think about how old this manga is, which is probably half thanks to all the hiatuses, this series has actually been going on since 1998. This predates it predates Sasuke. It predates Sharingan and everything from that. So technically, Sasuke's eye stuff was stolen from Hunter. But I'm not going to go into that because I don't care about that. I'm just saying it's funny. It's nice to think about it, if anything. But before we get into that, or let's not get into that actually, just not. Just no. But speaking of the bodyguards, we have finally gotten back into some of the older characters. It's a little weird because some of them haven't been seen in a long time. Such as Izunabe. I hope I pronounced that right. If I remember correctly, he's the one who taught Kurapika about Nen. We didn't really get a whole arc on him, but there was an arc where he was introduced around the time that Kurapika was looking for... Oh god, what was the name of that organization? Well, either way, he was looking for those assassins that are antagonists, protagonists. I mean, honestly, he really cares about them half the time. But those guys are basically used as... They were used as a side story during the Bug arc. But they were a big part then. He actually did get to kill one of them. He did. So, it's funny how things work out like that. But that master that taught him about Nen is back with him. So, we got one returning character already. Aside from that one returning character, we also have Hanzo. Well, I think he was from the first Hunter exam. He was, wasn't he? And then Basho from the Nostrad family, which I think was also around that same arc, now that I think about it. But it might not have been. Either way, Basho is there. He was either one of the other bodyguards of that arc, and then Melody, who definitely was another one of the bodyguards of that arc. And even though we can't see Gon and Killua anymore, I do like how they brought Biscuit back into the fold. Because Biscuit was always mainly untouched. She's strong, very strong, and even though Gon and Killua aren't coming back anytime soon, neither are some of the other side characters from that arc. So, it's good to have some fresh faces, and it was nice to see Killua in the background of the little flashback of how she got into Kurapika's circle. Especially when he had to basically kiss up to her to get her to shut up. That was quite hilarious. And it's probably the saving point of this new chapter 350. Because if you think about it, there isn't much at all. So, we got the bodyguards returning. We've got Kurapika. There was no Lierio in this chapter, but Kurapika's finally getting closer to starting his journey, although we still have a month of, in-story time to pass. Hopefully this goes faster before our next hiatus, which, fingers crossed, doesn't happen anytime soon. Or at all, but that's not likely. And then the return of Biscuit. And the little surprise of the prince that he ends up guarding becoming a potential ally. Although it sheds more light on the story of the princes. So with all that said and done, I say this about, ends the chapter review and the recap. Hopefully next week's chapter is better, because this was just too much information. That little joke with Biscuit was a little bit lighthearted to, get me back into it. Because trust me, going back just to look again at some of the more recent chapters, and I say recent, with a heavy heart, but it's an iffy chapter. It's good because there was no comedy really. I mean, there was in some ways, but there was way too much info. Now we got a little bit more balanced, and it looks like this information is pulling the plot. So hopefully next week we get the end of our information dumps, and we get the story, restarted. So aside from that, hope you guys like this video. Subscribe, like the video. Check out my boy Skeptile227. We made a video together yesterday, and that's up on his channel. I'll put the link in that below. I'll probably have an annotation at the start of the video for those who didn't get this far in the video, because let's face it, not a lot of us have good attention spans. So, we'll see. And for those of you that went this far, thank you. Put some comments down below. Comment on how you think the rest of the story is going to unfold. If we'll ever see Gon again. Will we see Gon? Or will we just get more of his father as a replacement? So, Black Knight 94 signing out. See y'all later. Till next time.